Hello everyone, just wanted to talk about the Scorpio End closes really quick to complete the cycle. They are quite interesting. They have a couple of unique problems that the other styles do not really encounter this CM, and they're built a little bit differently because of it. So if you're looking for something different, or if you're looking for something to pair with your front runners or pace chasers, end closers actually are a pretty good option for that. So are end closers good? Well, you're building them around the fact that they have the highest natural spurt speed. So the late race is kind of covered for end closers. The other thing that has an advantage is that because you are an end closer and you're behind the late surger position, which is where most of the debuffers are, you're going to dodge most of the debuffs in the mid race. So the position keep is going to basically, if any of the nice natures debuffs happen in the position keep, you're going to be behind them. You're not going to have to worry about the stamina debuffs. For that, there's a small window in the middle where you will be hit by the debuffs, and then at the very end, it'll be after the stamina calculation, so it will not matter as much. So you can actually dump a little bit of stamina compared to the other race styles. The problem with end closers is that this time, because this is a corner track, there is no reliable acceleration skill that is unique to end closers. And because of that as well, and because end closers need to catch up the 7 to 10 lengths that they set themselves behind the front runners, you have to find alternative means to catch back up to the pack. So as I was saying, you can't use straightaway spurt this time. It is simply just a white skill. It gives about a half of a length, and because it is 180 skill points, usually any other skill in the game is going to be better or cheaper. You also don't have access to shooting for victory or the good speed skill duty to dignity calls that all the pace chasers have access to, or some front runners even if they're losing the first place battle. And so you're left with basically the late surger option. Let's pump some iron because you're going to be in sixth place possibly sometimes, and also the generic ones. Ignited Spirit Power is a very good one for acceleration. The rest, and of course Ignited Spirit Guts as well, but I don't know how you end up getting that if you're unless you're guts maxing. And the other two, Never Goof Up and Conjur's Fury, they're just kind of okay, and they kind of just give you a little bit of a boost, but they're honestly not really worth it. So you do not have any excels, so what do? You have to do something that frontrunners are very familiar with, which is called wit maxing. You essentially are trying to squeeze as much weight into your UMA as possible so that the mid race is as good as possible. So, unlike the other roles, you can dump your stamina a little bit. I suggest hitting 700 in a gold recovery. You can go a little bit below that, but you are starting to gamble greatly with the nice natures. You may get hit by a nice nature, and 700 allows you at least getting hit by one and being fine. The rest of the stats, really, power and wit, you kind of want a balance. So there's two ways you can build end closers. There's the traditional way, which is your gambling way, which is similar to a late surger, and that is building as much power as possible. If you're going to go this route, I suggest running power cards and just literally building as much power as possible, hitting 1100, 1200 power, and just raw statting people in the acceleration zone. The reason being is this will give you access to Ignited Spirit Power or Burning Spirit Power if your run is going incredibly well, and this paired with Let's Pump Some Iron will win you the game if they both hit. So that's one strategy. Just raw power it, get as much acceleration as possible, and catch back up. The other strategy, which is a lot less gambly, is to go the mid-race speed skill method. So you want to balance your power, possibly even dumping it a little bit below 700, and get as much wit as possible along with your speed and stamina requirements. So essentially, every single leg of the race, you do a wit check, and if you succeed the wit check, it's kind of like it's a scale. So if there's succeed, you're going to choose between like 10% faster and 10% slower, let's say. I'm just generalizing here. And that's based on your wit roll plus your wit. So the higher wit you have, the more likely you are to choose a good speed for that leg of the race. If you continuously choose good rolls, you're going to go faster than the other UMAs in the pack. And after that first third of the race, you no longer care about position keep. So you essentially, if you roll high on your wit every single leg of the race, you are going to go fast, 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 and move up into possibly even the pace chasers by the end of the race in the Excel zone. We were kind of seeing this in Libra Cup because we were seeing gold ships go through and Uma stand past their pace down because it was a very short pace down in the early part of the race, very short position keep, sorry. And once they were canceling their position keep twice because there was like 3 pace downs they had to get through, they were like in the half pack, and then were they were just using anchors away and other skills to just push past even the front runners at that point because long CMs just have such a large mid race that they could do that. Medium CMs also have a large mid race, so you can do this as well. But there is one corner that is in the position keep that's going to make things a little bit difficult. So, just quickly, there isn't really any good end cards. They have pretty much the same access to cards that every other class has. So you have the same medium skills and left-handed and every that. There's really isn't nothing special. So just run your strongest speed, stamina, power cards for the end closers. The wit cards are also the same. There really isn't anything new on this list. They also don't have any like nice nature wit that gives them on your left or anything like that. So I would suggest if you're borrowing a wit card, just borrow fine motion. Get as much wit as possible into your build. That's really going to be what matters. All right. So how you supplement this. So you have high wit, you want to roll every time. You're also not going to get a good wit roll every time, and you also need to still pass the other racers, so you need as many mid-race speed skills as possible, and pretty much most of your skill points should be put into corner skills. So Professor of Curvature is almost a requirement. You can get that through Kittison Black. Its on is also very good because you most likely will be passing people, so the combination of Professor of Curvature and its on gives you a massive speed boost when you pass pretty much the first late surger that can rocket you almost all the way into the Pace Chaser pack. You also have medium corners and end closer corners, and Narita Taishin, if you do her event, which is very difficult, moderately difficult, I'd say, you can get early start, which is a good one. So these 5 skills are the ones you're looking for. You also have options that are less good, which are the straights. The straights are not as good because the straight is the very end of the race, so as well. So the spurt is also a straight at the very end. Sorry. The final spurt is a straight at the end of the race. So the straight skills have the possibility of basically acting like homestretch haste at the very end, which is still fine. It's just you are a end closer, so you already have very high last spurt speed. Okay, so try to get as many corner skill mid-race skills as possible. We're talking double circle, medium corners, pro curve, it's on, end closer corners. If you can get those 4, that's incredible. You also, if you're looking for additional mid-race speed skills, there is a ton of ultimates in the game. There's like, I mean, Anchors Away is one, and Inherited is bad, but if you're really like struggling to use your skill points, go for it, I guess. I mentioned before, we don't have access to these skills, Great Away Spurt, Shooting for Victory, Dignity Calls. There is one you can do, and that is Shooting for Victory, and this is an Uber Gamba. If you want your gambling back into your non-gambling UMA, Shooting for Victory will just win you the race if you're able to get into 4th place as an end closer, and that does happen with enough wit and enough mid-race speed skills. And depending on the composition, so if it's not a bunch of front runners and runaways, if it's a bunch of pace chasers and you get into the middle of the pace chaser pack using your mid-race speed skills, it is possible you actually hit 4th place and you hit the excel for Shooting for Victory, and you're essentially an end closer with the pace chaser acceleration skill, and it's just simply unmatched. It does not matter how fast those pace chasers are, you are just faster at that point. Going to go through a couple of UMAs. They're really, I mean, you can run any UMA you want as long as you can get it to end A, but the strongest one is probably Narita Taishin, and the reason being is Nemesis has speed carry over this one. So her ultimate is going to carry over speed into the Excel zone, so if you are able to get forward into the pack with Nemesis proccing, you essentially will get the speed carryover into the Excel zone, which is going to help you push past the pace chasers. She also comes with end corner straight and early start through her events. Again, it's kind of difficult. You need to win 7 of the races shown on the screen, which I believe are her career races, plus pretty much every other G1. It's a good one to go for, but again, Narita Taishin has one of the hardest careers with a bunch of mood downs and one scripted mood down. And most of her stuff in the kit does not really help you. She does not have, she only has 10% speed to really help you with the whip maxing. And her, you can, I guess, I just wouldn't suggest spending 300 skill points on her gold recovery. Find it somewhere else, or just pump it all the way up to 900 stamina. It just, it's hard. It's really hard, and it doesn't always proc. Gold Ship is a good free-to-play option. Again, I'm not going to put any Encloser as easy to build because of the stat requirements, but Anchors Away is an incredible mid-race speed skill. She also comes with a gold recovery. Again, she is in the situation as most of these Enclosers have a problem with. They do not have any wit, and they do not have any speed bonus to their kit. So these stamina Umas have the slight problem of kind of just, you want to hit the power and the stamina buttons, and you just kind of can't with this strategy as much as you want, because you really need to just hit the wit and hit the speed buttons, and that doesn't really help you. The 10 power helps a lot because you just don't need any power sparks. You just kind of hit your speed button. But other than that, if you can get past this, if you can hit your stats on Gold Ship, she has everything she needs. You don't need Spirit. The last one I think I'm choosing is Symbole Rudolph. She is C Encloser. You need a little help for that. She is interesting because she has Dominator. If you want to run a hybrid style, Dominator is an option. However, you have the problem in which you need as much mid-race speed skills as possible. But Emperor's Divine Might is an incredible late race skill when you pass 3 people, which you will be passing 3 people on the corner. Like, you just will. You are an Encloser with a bunch of mid-race speed skills. Just that in general. You don't even need to pick up Dominator. Just that in general, plus Pro Curve, which is built into her kit, so she's going to have a bonus. She's going to have bonus. She's going to have bonus hints towards it. And with Rainy Days with Guts, you're going to have. She's good. She really is. Again, problem like most of these Enclosers. 20 stamina, 10 guts. She has no wit bonus. She has no speed bonus. So you are raw speeding and raw witting. So it is quite difficult. But if you hit the 1200 speed and if you hit your speed and you hit your wit, she's very strong. So, like I said, pretty quick. I kind of rambled a little bit, but just the content of it, really not much for Enclosers. They just simply win by chaining your mid-race speed skills leading into your highest spurt speed. So, chain your mid-race speed skills, hit your acceleration. If you want to gamble, put Shooting for Victory. If you like gambling as well, almost required. You're probably going to hit Less Pumps to Iron somewhere in that mix. Those 2 accelerations, plus a ton of mid-race speed skills, ton of skill points, ton of wit, ton of speed. Your Enclosers can actually win.